We got a spicy video today, chat. Very divisive. But real quick, before we start this serious topic video, just gotta say, we are now monetized on the React YouTube, which is huge, very fantastic, very awesome. That does mean that there are now YouTube memberships. I don't know what those cost. I know I set them up, but I forgot what they cost. I think it's like $3 or something. And that supports me. I am monetized now. Very cool. Thanks to everyone who watches the video for that. Much appreciated. And now that I have finished thanking everybody, it's time to get into the serious topics. Brandon Herrera and Donut Operator. Did ICE just murder someone for carrying a gun? Obviously, like everyone, I do have my own opinions on this. I also am willing to listen to other people talk. So we're going to see what these two have to say about it.
Being legally armed in itself is never a legal or moral justification for being shot by law enforcement. Period.
True.
So we all saw what happened this weekend with the shooting.
He's definitely going to cover this, but the statements from people in high-ranking offices in the United States have been embarrassing. Just absolutely abysmal. He's almost definitely going to address those at some point, but oh my goodness. Most pro-2A administration? Absolutely not. It's an embarrassment, is what it is.
Of Alex Pretti. Or rather, depending on where you lie on the political spectrum, we all saw our own version of what happened. Multiple camera angles, multiple statements, and still a radical divide as to what actually occurred. A lot of big feelings in the room right now. I mean, the internet's absolutely on fire about it. Even in the real world, it's all everybody's talking about.
It is pretty much all I've seen.
I know people have been hounding me
on my
to talk
social
about
media,
it, which really means they have been hounding me to validate their own opinion. But I'm going to take a step back for a minute. And, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot over the last day or two, and I think I'm going to approach this using the one thing that the internet fucking hates.
Oh, no.
Nuance.
Oh, not
Taking
the
an open
N-word.
mind and looking through the facts.
He just
trying to
dropped the
remove
N-word.
my own biases. A sense of poise and rationality, if you will. I've given it
Poise, rationality, and nuance in the year 2026? I want to see the comments, the replies. I want to see how many people are flaming him for whatever nuanced opinion he comes up with.
a lot of thought, and I'm trying to check my own biases so that I can present the information in a way that I believe makes the most sense and is, you know, pretty close to fair and balanced. No, not this time. So long story short, if you're expecting me to blindly hop on the fuck ICE or the thin blue line all the time, no matter what camp, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Both cringe.
I'm going to take a look at the facts, and I'm going to show you where I fall, given the information I have right now at the time. We could get a new piece of information tomorrow that completely changes every part about this story, which is why I normally like to wait a couple days on stuff like this, especially when it's right there on the razor edge. But man, I tried saying I was going to wait a couple days and wait for the facts to come out, and I got shit on by the radicals of both sides. So I guess it's 2026.
Just don't listen to the radicals.
A fast opinion to an informed one. So
on either side.
Here we go. So in my mind, there's 4 options here. 1, it's ICE's fault. 2, it's Pretti's fault. 3, it's Sig's fault.
Oh, that one for sure.
It was a Sig P320 that was involved in the incident, and if I find out that's what initiated all of this, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. It's okay.
Chat, it's a good thing that the guns can make their own decisions now. Is this where we actually find out that guns do in fact kill people? Is this where we finally figure out that guns kill people, not people?
I'm cool, but I swear whoever's writing this season of American news is going out of their way to fuck with me. And 4, it's a combination of all of those things, creating a melting pot of a bad situation that had a bad outcome. So I'm going to try to walk through this point by point and address the different
nuanced take.
Now, first, let's address the elephant in the room. Being legally armed in itself is never a legal or moral justification for being shot by law enforcement.
True.
Period. Exercising your Second Amendment rights is not a death sentence. And I don't think anybody's actually making the argument that exclusively because he was armed, he deserved to be shot. Okay, a few fucking idiots on the internet are making that argument, but anybody with above a room temperature IQ, I think understands that that's insane? He had every legal right to be there, and he had every legal right to be armed, including the extra magazines and the, red dot sight. Yeah, some people try to use the extra magazines as like a declaration of intent, which admittedly to most people probably sounds a bit excessive, but also Minneapolis in the middle of a riot, so fair.
I don't always carry extra magazines with me. Carrying an extra magazine is super normal for just any kind of everyday carry loadout. Chat, I open carried to Domino's today with an extra mag. And this is going to be very surprising. It's not. But I did not commit any violence in that Domino's when I open carried in there with an extra mag in my pocket. Crazy, I know.
Fair enough. I wouldn't go to Minneapolis without a gun. Actually, I wouldn't even go with a gun. Fuck that place. But the fact of the matter is, multiple magazines and a red dot sight doesn't prove any intent to harm officers. In fact, in my opinion, I have not been presented with any evidence that he was there with the intent to shoot ICE officers. Was he there to disrupt their duties and potentially interfere with arrests? Almost certainly.
If he was there specifically to shoot ICE officers, then ICE officers would have been shot, right? Like, if you're there, and this is completely theoretical, if you are there and you have the poor intent to shoot officers, then while there is a group of officers, why would you not do it then? Why would you wait until they were actively trying to restrain you to start? I know that shooters often are not the smartest people, but like, you'd have to be a special kind of stupid to not take any opportunity that he would have had before that, if that was actually his plan.
But I find it incredibly unlikely that if he was there to ambush agents, that this was the tool set he would bring and the way he would go about it. There's a lot of people going around saying that this was the justification. Even, I mean, there's a fake Trump tweet that's circulating the internet right now. I saw so many people sharing this around.
Oh, I saw this too. Holy boomer bait right here. Why do old people have such a hard time telling whether or not something is real? Just all of the crazy, just garbage AI slop. Fakes like this, it's always old people who see it and share it and are like, oh, look at this thing. Why are they so technologically illiterate? I remember when I was but a young X-count, it was the same people who currently are falling for all of this fake internet stuff that when I was a little X-count were telling me, oh, be careful of information you see on the internet. Be careful. People are making stuff up and lying on the internet all the time. And now they're falling for garbage like this, left and right. What happened?
And it was very easy to confirm that this was just not true. Again, one of the reasons why I really hate knee-jerk reporting. Also, I'm pretty sure Trump was like a CCW holder in New York back when that was extremely hard to do. I mean, the guy carried around a revolver. So that made like no sense at all at first glance anyhow.
But, he boomer carried.
Yeah, that doesn't stop the mob. There's so many examples of stuff like that, though. I mean, like there's this one too, where this is a very clearly AI photo of what happened. I mean, I've seen this photo everywhere, but even just that one.
This is one of the AI slop that I was talking about. The officer has no head and no hands. And this guy's got a weird bald spot in his beanie.
One post got almost 100,000 likes, millions of views, and it's just very clearly AI slop. I mean, for fuck's sake, the ICE agent doesn't even have a head in that photo. And I mean, a photo like this, to be fair, would one-shot any boomer on Facebook.
It probably has a lot of many boomers
clamoring about how, oh, this is an ICE execution based on something that's just visibly untrue. So just, I guess, be careful.
This AI image I have seen shared for both sides. There's the one side, obviously, he just says like, oh, clearly this is an execution. And there's the other side that's looking at this, I don't know, whatever AI decided was in his right hand over here instead of his phone. And it's like, oh, he has a mystery object that we can't figure out what it is. The officers thought it was a gun. Now, could the officers have thought it was a gun? Maybe, maybe not. But you're looking at a false AI artifact, not some mystery item.
Careful with where you're getting some of the info from. It's not going to make things any better. Now, another quick point I want to bring up too, that this gets compared to a lot, is the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And it's actually not hard to see why. Because obviously I was a huge supporter of Kyle during his court case.
I can
still
see
a
why
friend
it's
of mine.
compared. It is
so
very different.
Theoretically, it would be hypocritical of me to say that Kyle was in the right and not immediately think the same thing for Pretti, right? Both cases involve a fatal shooting of an individual involving somebody who brought a firearm to a protest. I think largely, though, that's where the similarities end. Let me tell you why.
Yeah,
for one,
much.
Kyle did not initiate any sort of conflict. He was on...
Kyle Rittenhouse did not go specifically to a protest, if I remember correctly. He went to go guard a family friend's business, like roof Korean style, except he was on the ground, not the roof.
Private property he was invited to be at and was harassed by a convicted child molester who was way too comfortable dropping N-bombs for his skin tone.
Yeah.
Kyle tried to retreat. He ran away from the situation and attempted to remove himself from the conflict. Kyle then only used his weapon as a last resort when cornered and attacked.
He did follow
by
his duty to retreat.
Violent pedophile, which initiated the first of the self-defense shootings that night, as Kyle then afterward attempted to continued retreat back to police lines. Once he got there, immediately tried to surrender himself to law enforcement. And the rest is history. And once again, Joseph Rosenbaum died doing what he loved, attempting to touch a child.
It's wrong.
All right,
I
now
shouldn't laugh
let's
at
go
that.
back to Minnesota. So the real question is, was this a good shoot or a bad shoot, specifically from a federal law enforcement perspective? Now, that's something I know a little bit about, but not something I would feel comfortable speaking on as a subject matter expert. So I'll slightly defer to the help of somebody who is. So joining me for this part, I have a police officer, professional body cam footage reviewer, and one of my best friends on the planet, Cody, aka Donut Operator.
Hi, everyone.
He said,
Hi, everyone.
Hello. It's King Bootlicker, or whatever you guys are sending me in my DMs the past couple of days. No, I'm here to talk about this incident pretty objectively. Just kind of go through the, is it lawful?
Here's one of the elements that I think makes this really dicey on the officer's perspective, or from the officer's side, because from all the stuff that I've seen, Pretti was disarmed the moment the first shot was fired.
Yeah. That is, I'm gonna be honest, that's where my struggle is with this thing too. Because regardless of communication, they did shoot an unarmed man. And while he was like passively resisting arrest, obviously, to me, it doesn't look like he's actively attacking any of the officers, which looks bad from an outside perspective.
Yes, they'd already called, gun, gun, gun. They'd removed the gun from his holster. So the guy in the gray shirt or gray sweatshirt is walking away. And it is very hard to tell from the grainy footage, but it seems like the SIG that he took off.
It does seem like that goes off. See, can we get the frame? Yeah, right there. You get that frame right there. The slide looks like it is back. That slide very clearly looks like it is back.
Off of Pretti is the one that goes off first.
You kind of see his hand go like that because he's holding it sideways as he's walking away, and the hand kind of does that motion.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's like 320p footage, so really, really freaking hard to tell.
And it almost looks like...
Why do none of these protesters have like a good, decent quality camera? Like, I swear all these protesters went out and bought like Razer flip phones to film the protest with. No one's even got a GoPro that can do 2K. Someone's got to have something better than these wacky, grainy footage.
Like, you can see a frame where the slide is back.
Yeah.
And so that being the first shot to kick it off, I don't know if it would be an accidental discharge because it's...
Please, we know welfare phones are the newest hot thing on the
guy's
market.
got a bunch of adrenaline and he just has an ND with a gun he just pulled off of the suspect, right?
Yeah, true.
So either one, I don't know.
Well, that was a big one too. If we're jumping right into it, I don't know if it was communicated that he had taken the gun from him to the other officers, because you can clearly see him one angle he's reaching, like the back angle, and then when it goes to the Pretti's right hip, you can see the officer pull the gun out.
Yeah,
and then going back to the side angle, you see him walking away with the gun.
Yeah, hold on. There's real quick here. It's kind of hard to see. This is dark. But this arm right here in the gray is the arm reaching to disarm this guy. This guy right here, who he is reaching in front of, I believe this guy fires the first shot on Pretti. Now, obviously, tense situation, you have really bad tunnel vision, but the guy disarming him is disarming him across in front of the guy who shoots him. Obviously, outside perspective, we don't know exactly where this guy's looking, how bad his tunnel vision is, but from an outside perspective, it does not look good.
With the gun, and that's when you see the little, like, maybe.
Sure, and that's one thing that I had to kind of work through too, is that like in that side angle where you see where also the same angle you see the Sig go off.
Yeah.
We can very clearly see that Pretti was just disarmed and the cop is walking away with the gun.
Yeah.
The cops who were there in the tussle involving pepper spray and, wrestling this guy on the ground.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot they just pepper sprayed some guy point blank, which is not a great idea most of the time, because that's coming back to you now.
You know what they didn't have access to? That fucking camera angle.
All 4 camera angles.
Yeah. So like this is something that, like you said, we've had 48 hours to dissect this, but the guys are in the moment. They didn't see all this shit.
That's where objective reasonableness comes in. Greg Bovino said, the head of ICE in a press conference, he was like, hey, you people on the internet, you've had 24 plus hours to go over this. Those officers in the moment.
Unrelated, but there was a little weather thing on that news report that said -6. That's too cold.
Had a split second to decide what to do. And inside of objective reasonableness, what officers have to deal with is the totality of the circumstances, which is what is in front of them at that moment, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're smelling, like everything in that moment to take in.
And that's a legal term, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The totality of the circumstances. There's pepper spray, there's fighting, they know there's a guy with a gun. And this, and this is me just trying to be objective in this, is they hear gun goes off. Maybe it's the 320 that indeed, or maybe,
I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here. So yes, officers, totality of the circumstances, all that, but also it is an officer's responsibility to be able to keep track of the circumstances as much as is possible. And so quick, prompt communication of things like this guy no longer has a gun is a responsibility of the officer. Yeah, all the Karens around them blowing whistles, making it hard to hear, hard to communicate, definitely did not help the situation. I don't know. It's still the officer's responsibility to be sure that the shoot is good in the end. Ferocious. The shot could have come from the crowd. They could have opened fire there too. Well, yeah, but if that first shot came from the crowd, then they still shouldn't have shot Pretti. Imagine that police are arresting someone in the ghetto, and then there's some third party who takes a shot, and the officers kill the person they're arresting. That's still not a good shoot.
A gun went off, someone yelled gun. And so these officers have to rely on what they're hearing and what the officers around them are saying, which is gun. And they went based off of that to protect themselves.
Gunshot, officers shoot everyone in sight. Yeah. If you're an officer and you hear a gun, you don't get to just shoot the person who's closest to you. That's not how any of this works.
And the people around them.
Yeah, because I think this is where it can fall into the situation of two things can be true.
Yeah.
That Pretti didn't deserve to die, but it also wasn't just a baseless execution.
Yeah. Yeah, they just walk up to the guy because he was carrying or because he was protesting or filming them and just pop him in the head.
Because there's a lot of things you could say about it. Like,
it was not a straight execution.
Kind of initiating some of those things. And that's something that is, can be up for debate.
Yeah.
But
we call it what it is. It was a clusterfuck.
Yeah. The one thing I did want to bring up too,
that
I thought was interesting is that the reason that he was there specifically, like from all the Signal group chat leaks and everything, is that like they have groups of people that are going around specifically trying to disrupt federal law enforcement. Like that's the entire purpose of them being there.
Yeah,
and
of course.
What I guess a lot of them don't realize is that if you're interfering with official law enforcement duties, if you're interfering with arrests and things like that, like that's a crime. I'm not saying it's a crime that's deserving of a death penalty.
Yeah.
Obviously, but like that's something like, you see somebody get pulled over on the side of the road and you try getting in between that officer and the person that's being pulled over and see how that goes for you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah, I feel like I feel like it's a crime that would be adequately dealt with by the local PD who they should be partnered with. Unfortunately, the local politicians are, we're not saying slurs, being difficult, shall we say, and not allowing that.
Obstruction right off the bat. It's illegal as shit.
Yeah, and again, that's not, you don't deserve to be shot for it, but what the problem is, that leads to an escalation. Whereas if you get in the fucking officer's way, that will probably be escalated to physical force. You know, whether it's arresting you or just getting you the fuck out of the way, which then can lead to a tussle, which if you're armed can lead to a fatal shooting. Like that's just, it's the thing that escalates things further. My perspective, not from a law enforcement side, but from a guy who conceal carries all the time.
Yeah.
Right? My problem with it
de-escalation is very important.
Carrying a firearm, I'm actually way less likely to be in a confrontation. Like if I'm not carrying and I'm at a bar or something like that, I'm way more likely to get into a confrontation than if I'm armed.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, you know, if I'm armed, that immediately
Wait, hold on. Brandon Herrera's in Texas, right? You're not allowed to carry in bars in Texas. There's the 50% rule, where if the establishment makes more than 50% of their revenue in alcohol sales, you can't carry there. What are you doing carrying in bars, sir?
Conflict I get in can be a fatal one.
Absolutely.
Because I brought a firearm to the equation. That's part of the responsibility of being concealed carry.
I think that law is
fight,
unconstitutional, but it's whatever.
Yeah. Just like they pulled Pretti's weapon away, but if there are weapons in the equation, if there are weapons in a tussle, then that's everyone's gun. That's everyone's pepper spray. That's everyone's knife.
That's the thing that drives me crazy, because if he was standing on the sidelines, just holding a fuck ICE, you know, cardboard sign or whatever.
Or a cell phone like he was doing. Yeah, just over there.
Over there, he would be fine. Like literally, nothing would be different. Even though he's carrying a firearm, he's protesting, whatever. You have a legal right to protest. It's your First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. Yeah. Second Amendment right to carry a firearm. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, when you interject yourself into a conflict like that involving federal law enforcement, I don't know how you want this to go. Yeah. There's another thing that gets brought up too that I have a fundamental.
If somehow all of this situation leads to Second Amendment infringements and enforcements, there will be protests, and at said protests, people will be armed. And I guarantee those protests full of armed to the teeth and open carrying individuals will be more peaceful than these quote-unquote protests. I'll be honest, I'm kind of hoping for some protest that I believe in, so I can go to it and show all these absolute morons how to properly protest with a firearm.
Mental issue with, which is people are comparing this to, oh, well, if you support federal agents doing, you know, this sort of stuff, then you'll support them confiscating firearms or everything, you know, just comply and stuff like that. I have a fundamental issue with that.
I hate that.
Because you have a natural right, a God-given right that is protected by the Constitution to keep and to bear arms.
Yeah, right. True.
So any violation of that directly violates the Constitution and the founding documents of the country. You do not have a constitutionally guaranteed natural right to illegally enter the country and stay here. I don't know, just to sum everything up, what are your thoughts now, having seen what we've seen?
I don't think he deserved to die by any way, shape, or form. Given the totality of the circumstances, and, you know, we're just two guys who like watching videos on the internet, we still need to wait for a full investigation to come out and see maybe statements from the officers as to what they were seeing in front of them, the totality of the circumstances.
So to pseudo play devil's advocate here, only kind of, because I kind of think this way as well. Do you trust the government, who will be doing the investigation, to investigate themselves fairly? Because, I mean, there's a lot of things you can point to through history of government investigating themselves and finding out that they did nothing wrong. Never trust anyone, especially the government. Exactly. Always question authority. Especially since the current authority, the current administration, is on an absolute crazy streak of just wild anti-Second Amendment statements currently. Ever since this event happened, Noam, Patel, Trump himself, wild statements. We'll see. We'll see how it all ends. I am not a fortune teller or a soothsayer, but the vibes don't look good. We'll see how it goes.
And I'm not saying they were right in killing this guy. I'm not saying they were wrong in killing this guy. I just think we need to look at the full investigation at the end, and we shouldn't bring emotions into this. Bring more logic into it instead of freaking out and burning down our own city and
logic is very
stalking
important.
federal officers and creating a database of their license plates. And even today, people are going out and they're harassing like civilians, just American citizens, and asking them to prove that they're not ICE, asking them for papers, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, isn't that a full 180?
Asking for papers.
This is probably the most divisive shooting I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, 100%.
Because I don't know if there's a right answer. And it sounds like a cop-out, but it's true. Like, it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the only reason people care about this,
I don't know if there is a right answer. There's definitely a lot of wrong answers.
is because it's being politicized. Yep. Like, that's the only fucking reason. Is every news outlet is going to jump onto this because it's current thing, and they're going to ignore the 12 drunk drivers who killed American citizens yesterday that were all illegals or H-1Bs or whatever. So
No, the day before, where an illegal broke into someone's trailer and raped an 11-year-old in front of her 10-year-old sister.
yep. And
Who cares?
Yeah, no, deportation is too good for that person. Just free them from this mortal coil. They don't need to be here anymore. That's disgusting.
you won't hear about it because it's not politically convenient. So people don't wait for facts. They see what they want to see, and they immediately just jump on, whatever bandwagon's most convenient.
Yeah, just make their decision immediately.
So I think Cody did a pretty good job of expressing, the law enforcement standpoint on that, which is really important because you have to recognize something can be technically wrong while also being technically legal. Hence the term we threw around a lot, lawful-but-awful. If he was disarmed and everybody in that equation knew it, that's murder. If the only reason he was shot was because he was armed and not because the officers thought their lives were in jeopardy, then that is also murder. If the officers that shot in that situation were unaware that he was disarmed, heard gunfire, heard gun, and thought their lives were in danger and the suspect had just fired a shot and had possession of a firearm, even though we know now that that is not the case, that would fall under that category of lawful-but-awful.
I just don't think it would. Because let's be honest, those officers were surrounded by a lot of hostile people. If they heard someone yelling gun, it's very possible that the gun could have been a third party. We said this earlier. If you're an officer and you hear shots, you hear a threat, you don't just get to shoot the person closest to you. You still have to positively ID the threat. Obviously, the courts have the final say, whatever goes down there. But I don't know. If you're an officer employing deadly force, you do have to positively ID where the threat is. Conclusion, inept officers. I don't know if it's inept officers that day. At best, they're not on the top of their game. And why would they be? They have this mob of Karens following them around all day and all night, blowing whistles, being obnoxious as possible. There's all kinds of videos of these protesters/rioters showing up at hotels that these officers are staying at, making all kinds of noise outside, destroying stuff so that the officers inside can't get enough sleep. And these officers are running on not enough sleep. They're running on being super agitated 24/7. Their decision making is going to be suffering. And so when there's something like this, that the totality of the circumstances is multiple people making and stacking less than ideal decision making. Yeah, obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that Pretti in this situation probably didn't deserve to die, right? But it's unsurprising that it happened eventually with the stress and all the other factors that are going on, yeah, of course, there's going to be bad decisions made because no one's in peak condition or anywhere close to it. Maybe they need to tactically rethink their methods. I do think there needs to be some method rethinking for sure. Clearly there's some kind of problem somewhere. What the resolution to the problem is, don't ask me. I'm literally an anime guy on the internet. I don't know what the solution is, but someone needs to come up with something. Otherwise, things are going to keep getting worse and things are going to keep escalating. While I, personal belief here, I think that illegal immigrants should be removed from the country. If you are here illegally, yeah, it's illegal. We should stop people from doing illegal things. But removing people from the country who are here illegally at the cost of Americans' fundamental rights, I don't think so. I can't get behind that one. Definitely, there needs to be a regroup to figure out how you can both ensure the rights of Americans and also get rid of the people who are here illegally.
Exercising your First Amendment right to free speech and to peaceably assemble to protest is not a death sentence.
Shouldn't
Exercising your Second Amendment right to keep and to bear arms, not a death sentence. Being armed, interfering with law enforcement activities, and then getting into a grappling match with said federal officers can have some pretty serious ramifications. And as concealed carriers, that's something that we need to be aware of. You're right.
I do think that this situation, that's a really bad freeze frame. I do think that the situation, don't get in, grapple with officers. I think leading up to the situation where Pretti was killed, I don't think that the officers were completely innocent. I do think that the officers, along with Pretti, I think that both sides escalated. And I think if either side hadn't escalated, no one would have lost their life. Instead, both sides escalated. And, well, it ended in a tragedy.
Right to carry a gun does not necessarily exempt you from the consequences of what you do while having that gun on you. Like I said, as concealed carriers, we need to know, not even with law enforcement, this could be a bar fight, right? But when you bring a gun into a potentially violent situation, you are turning that into a life or death situation. And right or wrong, that can have consequences. And again, that's not just with cops. That's not just with, ICE agents. That's true across the board. The same's true on the other side. Because I'm carrying a gun, now any potential violent confrontation is now life or death. Because if you knock me out, now you have a gun and I'm unconscious. Which is one of the reasons, again, as concealed carriers, we have a responsibility to avoid violent confrontation unless there is no other alternative. So what it comes down to, I believe, at the end is that both parties...
Yeah, I will say, when I am carrying, particularly when I'm open carrying, I am much more aware of my surroundings and the things happening around me. Because, obviously, if you're going to just straight open carry, having a retention holster is good. But any situation can turn bad really fast because of one stupid person's stupid idea. And so if you're carrying, you got to be very aware of everything happening around you.
Could be, to an extent, acting within the law. The gray is what happened in the middle and what could have been done differently, which I hope people on both sides can draw from and learn from. So hopefully this never happens again. Regardless of whether you're on the left or the right, it's always a bad thing when Americans kill Americans. But at the end of the day, you wanted my take, and the best I can do is give you the truth, give you honesty. So I think there's ways we can disagree about things. And you can disagree with my take. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying my take is the objectively correct one to have.
I don't agree with him completely. I think he's mostly right. I just talked about it for like the last half hour or something. It's okay to disagree. Disagreeing is healthy.
It's just the information I've been given and the way that I feel about it. And you're welcome to your own interpretation as well. So I'm sure there will be plenty of peaceful and logical discussion in the comments section.
I'm curious about the comments.
This is a messed up situation. And again, I hope that there's at least lessons to be learned from it so we can avoid stuff like this in the future. So anyhow, thank you guys. Again, let's try to keep it civil in the comments. A man can dream, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
That was a good video. That was a good video. Full of nuance.
Did you see Trump actually made a comment about the SIG?
No.
Oh my God.
He made a comment on the SIG? I've seen Trump comments saying that, like, people can't carry guns and can't carry gun there and all that stuff. I didn't know he made a SIG comment.
The president reportedly asserted that Pretti had a, quote, very dangerous gun, a dangerous and unpredictable gun.
Yo!
And added, it's a gun that goes off when people don't know it.
True.
We have the President of the United States now officially commenting on the P320.
Jesus, dude.
And I think I'm
That's
going to approach
fantastic,
this
and that's
using
beautiful.
the one thing that the internet fucking hates. An open mind and nuance. That's two things.
It's okay. Counting that high is really hard as a YouTuber, as a content creator. I understand. It's okay. Man, chat. Trump knows about the P320? That's crazy. Mine has a safety on it, so it's slightly better. Very slightly. All right, let's see. I am curious. Let's look at the comments. Sig P320 begins to lose relevance in the public eye. Starts a civil war. 1911's end world wars. P320 begins civil wars. Guns don't kill people. Sig P320 laughing at you from the kitchen counter. Cash himself said we weren't allowed to carry guns, then backpedaled. Yeah, Cash, Noam, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Even Trump. What a year, huh? It's only January. I feel like I've seen this joke every year since COVID. Amount of people justifying death due to having firearm, insane to me. This comment section, surprisingly reasonable. Where's the people looking to take heads? Where's the people yelling at each other with knives or something? I don't know. I wanted more excitement here. What's going on? Why is this community so reasonable? Stop that right now. It's crazy.